Hello, everybody. This is Andrew Gillum. I know it's been a while since we've had an opportunity to connect, but as many of you know, I decided to take some time away to work on myself, deal with some issues that I was having. I went away to rehab to focus on my issues with alcoholism, having grown up in a household where my father battled addiction to alcohol and later died.
What up? This is Three Brothers No Sense. I am Tavares Ferguson, aka Ferg. Join my co-hosts Razi and Buff. Fellas, tell them what's on your mind.
Well, I'll start with this episode of As the Scholarship Turns.
Oh, no.
So, y'all know I've been having all kind of problems setting up this Jennica scholarship and finally signed the memorandum of agreement. And so, you know, they put the scholarship up on the website. We were good to go. People could donate, but they didn't do that until I actually told them what the final agreement on what the terms would be for the scholarship. So I agreed to it. They put it up on the website, but then they had to send the memorandum of agreement around to like the board of trustees. Like everybody had to sign the memorandum, right? So, and they want wet signatures. So they had to mail it to one person, get it back, mail it to the next person. So it took almost 2 months to do that. So I finally get it with all the signatures on it. I sign it. We're good. Send that back. Come to find out, I sent my check to fund the scholarship from my bank. My bank put from my personal account, but they put SWAT Enterprises LLC on the check. Shout out to SWAT Enterprises. Great job. So UA sends me my receipt made out to SWAT Enterprises LLC. And if anybody knows, that's a pretty big check that I sent. And I can't deduct that on my taxes now because it's made out to SWAT Enterprises LLC. So I have to go back and request a refund from UA for SWAT Enterprises, get the check back, put it back in my account, and then write them another check. I'm going to handwrite it this time because obviously my bank can't be trusted to send a check with my name on it.
What bank is this, Razi?
I'm not going to talk bad about my employer,
but you kind of you there now, bro.
You already are.
You already there. You don't Nick Cannon now, bro.
Just don't say their name, I guess.
Yeah, I ain't gonna call him out, but so I have to, so I'm like, okay, I request the refund. Then UA comes back and says, okay, well, to get a refund, since it's a company, you have to be set up as a vendor, and our vendor management department will be reaching out to you so you can be set up as a vendor to get the refund. I'm like, oh my God, how hard is it to give UA money? It's difficult, guys. Again, like I said before, if this wasn't Jenica's wishes, I would have given this money to an HBCU, but I'm a rock with it. I'm gonna roll through it, but I'll let you guys know how all this works out. And once we actually be able to fund it, I guess technically it's funded now, and then it'll get unfunded and then get funded again.
So in the meantime, while that gets sorted out, the people that are like currently donating right now, where does that money still go towards it, or is it like being held up somewhere?
Yeah. The scholarship's set up. Okay. It's good. And we can, and so how endowing a scholarship works, and I'll just kind of put this out to everybody, if anybody wants to do that, is you sign a memorandum saying, I'm going to give you at least $25,000 to the school to endow a scholarship. And you have up to 5 years to actually give the $25,000. You can go fundraise, do whatever. In those 5 years. So yes, that's why they set it up on the website so that they can kind of start collecting funds. So anything that you guys give is still going to UA, is still getting associated with the scholarship. It just won't hit the 25,000 until, well, it's hit it now because I sent the check. But when I request it back, it'll go under. And then when I send the new check, it'll go back over the 25. So it'll get worked out and they'll still be able to fund for the 2021 school year is when they'll actually award the first scholarship. So it'll work out. It's just going to be a month and a half by the time I work it all out again.
So there's another year before somebody actually receives funds from it.
Yeah, because it has to. What happens is they use the interest that is collected off of it to fund the scholarship or to give the scholarship. So they don't, so that they don't pick off the scholarship. That's the difference in an endowed scholarship versus like you just saying, I want to do a scholarship for $1,000 and you write a check every year. The endowed scholarship, they know that it's going to go for perpetuity. So this scholarship will never go away, and it's going to be $800 to $1,000 per person for their entire college career, and it'll be in perpetuity. They're going to award it every year to somebody.
That's dope. So can we still donate? Because I've tried multiple times and I've gotten to like step 2 and I try to get to payments and it's like, nah, you can't. It just freezes and I get stuck in a loop. And
did you manually enter it or click the drop down box?
Let it pre-fill.
I think I had to search for Jennica. Like, I'll type down JENN and then it'll pull it up and then I'll click on the drop down. So that's a no-no?
No, that should be fine. When you start filling in your name and stuff like that, does your computer pre-fill all the information in there? Do you let it pre-fill or do you type in all your stuff?
Y'all asking a lot of questions. I don't remember all that.
Yeah, because that's a glitch that somebody said in that thread. They were saying if you let your computer pre-fill all the stuff, it won't go. You have to actually type it in, each one of them.
Is that something you can holler at them about too, as well? Like, a lot of people are having issues with just trying to donate, man.
Yeah, like if I wasn't your boy and I was trying to like give you money or give money, and it's like, well, they just don't want to take my money. I'll go on to the next one. Like, you're gonna get it, but it's just like for the average person who's not committed to or just making that one time, like, you know what, let me go drop $50 or $100 here. And once that moment passes,
yeah, they're not gonna work hard to do it. Yeah. And I will. I'm gonna let them know that a bunch of people had problems trying to donate on the site.
Yeah, but that's cool, man. That's really dope, man. That you can do something like that and something that will carry on her memory, even when none of us are here. So that's pretty dope.
Yeah. And on a nicer note, I guess, I was really excited about the No Limit Spotify list. So that was a cool playlist. I had about 3 hours of just sitting listening to No Limit, man. It was great. So if you guys haven't heard it, go in Spotify, look up Three Brothers No Sense. We have a No Limit playlist on there and it is awesome.
Yeah. And the thing about it is there's a lot of songs on there. I probably like 90 to 95% of them. There's some things on there I was just like, I just never really got into this song, but it definitely was a throwback, a blast from the past, man. And I kind of missed the 2019 No Limit reunion tour after watching this documentary and listening to those songs.
So I got a couple of things. One, just got back from Vegas, and we were celebrating my wife's upcoming 40th birthday. We went a little early because when I first planned it at the time, I thought I was going to be working these conventions, but as with everything, COVID hit us. But had a good time out there. Appreciate you joining us, Razi. Thanks for looking out for us too, Ferg, on what you did. So just want to put that out there. Also, Ani, aka Kristen Bracey, you asked us why we didn't say anything about WAP or WAP, or however they perform. And if you notice, I didn't say nothing in that text thread because I didn't know what the hell you were talking about. I just learned because I had been ignoring. I kept seeing WAP, and I knew it was a song. I kept ignoring it, scrolling past it.
What is that song, Byron? I'm.
Well, I still haven't heard the song, but the acronym is for wet ass. You didn't think I was going to say it, but there it is. So, and you wanted to know what we had to say about it. I still haven't heard the song, so I don't know what to say about it, but I will say this. I think sometimes we clutch our pearls a little too soon, and I think every generation has done it. If you go all the way back to Ray Charles and even before that, the older generation always has a problem with the younger generation's music. And, I got some people saying, I just don't remember music being this raunchy like Two Live Crew and it didn't exist. You know, like Dr. Dre didn't have a skit on the Chronic with it was called The Doctor's Office. That's all I'll say about that. Or like he didn't have a song where the ending chorus was about sucking the dick by Michelle, I believe it was. So, you know, just ain't shit but lick on the and suck the dick. So let's not clutch our pearls because two women are singing a song about their pussy.
Can I add Juicy J though? That was kind of still one of my.
and we also
that song still ride.
We seem to have a big issue with it when women rap and sing about their sexuality versus men talk about their every rap album. But we seem to get upset about the women. So that's all I got to say on it.
But even with that though, Little Kim.
Yep.
Yeah, we can't act like Little Kim didn't sell sexuality. Like that was her whole shtick. So, you know, Trina, same way.
Kaya,
like all of them.
Unless you thought Salt and Pepper was talking about benching. I mean, pushing real good. I mean,
there, man. You know, Adina Howard, who kind of was just took that. That was her stick. Like that was that's what she did. Like, you know, I don't know, man.
T-shirt in my panties.
Which also,
Joya lick.
Yeah, that which also wrote, you know, like, you know what? New playlist. You know, but the reason I didn't have anything to say about it because I didn't think anything of it.
Yeah.
You know, I guess I don't know if Ani wanted us to come to the rescue and reprimand people for, you know, judging, but it was kind of like at this point I realized people are going to judge on everything. So, but I had no problems with it. I listened to part of the song and watched part of the video. Nothing new. Actually, I was hoping the song would ride harder than it did. You know, Cardi B does come with some hits and have Megan on there. That's Byron's number one artist of the year.
Apparently.
Yes.
Isn't she's your hall pass,
she's
isn't
a goat,
she?
right?
No, she's not my hall pass. God damn it.
But you know, like I was hoping they were gonna come harder than that. So hopefully if they do a remix, they can get those two, throw in Nicki and some other people on there and just take it and make it a club banger. You know, so
yeah, that'll be a hot remix.
Yeah, it would.
So
Be.
I just heard it this morning, so I'm in that same boat. Like I wasn't checking for it. It wasn't a big song that I'm like, oh, I got to run out and listen to it. And when I listened to it, I was like, okay. It's a good song for one younger kids. Like Haley's like, that's my bop. I was like, okay, I guess. You know, but it's one of those things that it doesn't go that hard to me. I think I like other songs, even if it's a raunchy song. I like other songs better than that one.
Well, for me, let me start off by saying this. So on our last episode, I made it, and I kind of brought it up again earlier today, a comment about Nick Cannon. That was my question. I brought him up as an example to my question. So let me clarify. In no way am I agreeing with what Nick Cannon said. You know, what I was doing was saying, hey, so often when people make these random comments that, once again, they feel is their truth, that they, especially in our culture, will apologize so quickly. And if you look at like the far right and some of the things they're saying, it's like these people they're doing everything and anything, and they give zero you know, but maybe it's because they have nothing to lose. But, you know, our president, I haven't heard him apologize yet. He says any and everything and may be elected to a second term. And so it really doesn't care who he offends and stuff like that. So that was my whole point. Not just saying, hey, Nick Cannon has a point. I'm following him, you know, in his Hotep, you know, Black Israelite tour that he's going on. Like, I'm not agreeing with all that stuff. I'm just saying, hey, it's sad that we're always apologizing. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really benefit us. And my second thing is, you know, I'm going to let that be because I don't know, you know what? Because I know Byron's question isn't about that. So real quick, how do you feel about the new VP nomination, fellas?
You mentioned hotels, and I was just about to say they've been very busy since that pick, bro.
Yep.
Listen, I'm a little exhausted, and the reason I'm exhausted is because Kamala was someone I had my eye on for like 2 years ago, even before she decided to officially run. And
Kamala Tucker Carlson.
I said Kamala.
You said Kamala like the wrestler.
My bad.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So
did y'all see that when Tucker Carlson just got like super pissed when somebody tried to correct him?
My bad.
He was so mad.
So and I had been hearing, y'all making me miss boxing. I had been hearing, she locked people up. Like that's the number one thing I heard. She locked people up. And if that's your thing, okay, fine. You don't like people that lock people up. But they were also singing the praises of Joe. I want Uncle Joe. I'm like, Joe wrote and helped pass the crime bill. So how can
she was executed.
Yeah, so how can you support him? So that just is what exhausts me, that it just seems like, and I don't want to include everyone, but it just seems like, maybe it's just what I've been seeing a lot, but it just seems like black men cannot wait to criticize a woman of color sometimes. And don't get me wrong, I've seen all races, women do it too, but I just wish, we would just kind of be a little more constructive with the criticism of things like this and people like her. And, if you disagree with her, that's fine, but it can't just be she locked people up when you supporting Joe Biden or you love Bill Clinton because he played a saxophone. Like, it can't be that, man.
I agree. I think what pisses me off about it is the hypocrisy of it all. She locked people up because she was a prosecutor. That was her job. And so you can't say, Black people, we need to get involved. Black people, we need to get in these positions of power and everything, and then expect her to get in the position and not lock a black person up. Like, some black people need to go to job, or go to jail. Like we said about old girl that went to juvie. Her needed to go to juvie. So my thing is, Kamala, what she was able to do is go in and actually give our people a fairer shake. She was actually being able to set policies to say, what is disproportionately affecting us? Let's not do that. I'm going to hold people accountable for that. Yes, she protected police officers and supported them unless there was some very, very clear evidence that there was wrongdoing and everything. But you got to understand, one thing is, when she was a DA and attorney general, camera phones weren't out like that. Nobody was wearing, body cams and stuff like that when she was in those positions. So, she was on the forefront of trying to hold these folks accountable. It's just that she was pushing back and she had to play the political game too. Y'all do it. We talked about code switching. We talked about going in the office, and sometimes you gotta maneuver. If she had been in there and she had to put on her hotel hat, she never would have became attorney general. She never would have been able to be the DA. She never would have been able to get elected. So she has to actually do things and maneuver to be able to say, okay, how am I going to do this? Still hold myself accountable to what I know, and make sure that my community is safe, but at the same time do my job. And it's hard. It's difficult, and it's a line you got to walk. So and I'm not saying she was perfect. I'm not saying that she didn't make mistakes in it and she had to feel her way through it. But what I'm saying is, she did her job. She did it the best that she knew with the information and where she was in her career. And that was 15 years ago, something like that, 10, 15 years ago. I mean, look at yourself 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and your thought processes versus now. Mm-hmm. It's you grow. So, I mean, they can just miss me with it, man. I posted a video of when she was the DA talking about how Black people want policing. We want to be safe. Like we talked about it when we were talking about defunding the police and stuff. We want to be safe. I want to be able to call the police. I just want them to respect me. I don't want to have to be afraid when they show up. And those are the things that I think she was trying to push for, and that's the reform that she was trying to do, even as the DA and as the attorney general.
Man, we had a whole question without a question.
Yeah, exactly.
And my thing is, I just wanted to get on this because I think it's very important, and we would be remiss if we didn't have this conversation and let you know our stance. And so, she's not perfect. Nobody is, but she did her job. She did it well enough to be on the platform on the stage a few months ago, running for the president of the United States of America. That didn't pan out, but she did her job well enough to now be the vice president nominee with somebody that she debated with just a few months ago. My thing is, love her, like her, or leave her. At the end of the day, every fiber of my being believes she's better than the choice we have now. And I think that's what it comes down to, because I think people don't see the bigger picture. It's bigger than, I don't like Biden, I don't like Kamala. It's the fact that we have a lot of things, that could happen. For one, I'll tell people, my biggest concern about Trump being reelected is I don't know if he can navigate us through this pandemic.
He can't.
Well, true. Yeah. So my thing about it is, like, if there's no change, where are we a year from now? Where are we 2 years from now? I want to say I was looking at something where New Zealand, they're looking like they're back to normal because they took a stance, I think, for like 8 to 10 weeks, did things right, and now people are walking around, no mask, everything's good to go because of leadership. Something as simple as that. When will my daughter go back to school? When will our kids get back to normal? When will our lives back to normal? There's corruption in politics. I feel like there's never been a perfect candidate, but I've never felt as adamant as I do about the corruption that's in the White House now. And I think, and then you look at how many, if any seats come up, anything like that happens, who's going to appoint them? The sitting president. Mm-hmm. And so those are things that you have to look at, like all the seats that become vacant, because we got some old people in that, some old justices right now.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg in and out the hospital as we speak, man.
Yeah. She on her last leg, and she knows what she's doing. And she holding on for dear life.
Yeah. And that's all we can. That's all we can hope for. So, like, thing about it is, like, people don't see that. They want to talk about some somebody did 15 years ago. Most of us cannot be judged on what we did five years ago, 10 years ago. Like, if people held themselves to the same standard they did Kamala, I said the other day, I probably wouldn't be married to my wife, and I probably wouldn't have the same job I have now because of stuff I did 5, 10, 15 years ago. So get over it, people. That was our PSA, so we're about to raise some money. Kamala doing it. Now it's time for Three Brothers to do it. So let's pay some bills.
Now streaming on Peacock.
By all that's holy, Bridget Jones.
Hello, old friend.
Bridget Jones is back.
We are about to embark on an adventure.
For one final chapter.
Anything else I can help with?
Yes.
Experience every moment.
Do you think about what might have been?
And fall in love.
To Bridget.
All over again.
It's time to live.
Bridget Jones, Mad About the Boy. Streaming now only on Peacock.
Nice.
Where's Sophie's here?
No, the kids ain't there. You don't trust Razi?
I thought I held it in.
Old joke bag.
I thought I held it in.
See what I got.
All right, people, we're back, and we got a special thing going for you. In Sophie's absence, Razi's going to tell us a joke. So Razi's about to dig in his bag old jokes and bring us one. I have faith in you today, sir. I'm trying to be positive.
All right. Drum roll, please. Okay. So, why should you always knock on the fridge before you open it? Just in case there's a salad dressing.
So bad. I don't even know if that was bad or good. I'm just
you know what? His timing was good though. Like he let the joke sit, and then he came with the punchline. So I give you a C+ on that one, Roz.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I'll get you passed.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Gotta give me the next week. That's all I need. That's all I need.
At Phillips, that would have passed you. You know what I'm saying? That was so you would have been good.
You'd be on academic probation, but you would have passed.
Oh man!
Wow.
We miss you, Sophie.
We're going to change it up a little bit. We're going to start with Buff today. Buff, give us a question for us. What's on your mind, sir?
Okay, so, well, first off, I want to blame my mispronunciation of Senator Harris on this apple pie moonshine that I'm sipping right now. A little sweet, but it's still pretty good. But check it out. It's a two-part question, and it's from one of our listeners, Miss Ashanti Young. And she asked us a couple of weeks ago, and I told her we were working in the show. So here we go. So the first part, former Mayor Andrew Gillum, he came out a few weeks ago, about a month ago now. He came out and I don't want to say he apologized, but he kind of addressed some of the issues he's been going through. So I wanted to get you guys, she wanted to know what we thought about his apology statement. If you saw it or heard it, if you haven't, I can summarize it for you. And part two of her question, Governor DeSantis, who I think has been probably the most incompetent governor in the country. Maybe Kemp is giving him a run for it, but I think he's probably been, like, it's bad when Alabama's governor is more competent than you right now. So,
well, she's a woman, so
right.
You know that gives her like a head start right there. Right.
But he's made it to where ex-felons, because he's trying to block them from being able to vote. And what he's throwing in there is what some civil rights attorneys are equating to a poll tax of the past, to where they still have to pay money on whatever their convictions were related to. Now, she admitted that an attorney may be able to break this down better than we can. But those are the two parts, the Andrew Gillum apology statement, and what do you guys think about what Governor DeSantis is doing with the ex-felons down there?
Can you recap Andrew Gillum's apology so our listeners will know what we're talking about before we start? Okay,
so even before the apology, if you don't remember, Gillum, Mayor of Tallahassee, ran for governor of Florida, narrowly lost. I think a few months ago, he was found in a Miami hotel with, I think, about 2 or 3 other men. They were half dressed, passed out. I want to say they found drugs and alcohol in the room and stuff like that. So he claimed that it was he had been battling alcoholism. So he checked himself in. And so now he's resurfaced. And his apology statement basically said, you know, he's dealt with alcohol all his life. His father dealt with it. He saw what it did with his dad. And he got real depressed when he lost the governor race. He fell into depression. And he tried to combat it by staying busy, you know, going on different talk shows and things like that, traveling. But it caught up with him, and he wound up having that incident that he had in Miami. And he goes from there and just starts trying to be inspirational, telling people, you know, if you're facing any type of depression, seek help. It's okay. You don't have to be tough and try to deal with it on your own. So that's kind of, it was an 11-minute apology statement, but that's kind of like the gist. He added some word salads in there, like, you know, nobody's perfect and all this good stuff. But that's pretty much the gist of it.
I'll tell you, I empathize and see exactly where he's coming from on his apology. Avoidance is real. Depression's real. Alcoholism's real. And when you put all that together, it happens. I mean, I'm still trying to get through my loss of Jennica, and that depression is real. I talk a lot about being the zombie, and not feeling anything and just avoiding. And so that's why I went back to work so fast, and I just needed 8 hours that I could think about something other than her, you know, and along with that, I purposely don't drink so that I don't go down that spiral, because I know I can do it, or I know it can happen. If you guys remember, I talked like Jennica saved my life, and not from a like I was gonna like kill myself type thing. It wasn't that I was suicidal. It was that when I got back, this same feeling of just being a zombie, of not feeling, of not caring, is what I was feeling. And Jennica helped me feel again, because I saw myself not going back to work. Like I could have seen, after that 3 months of me coming back from war, me decided not to go back to the bank and ending up like some homeless veteran, like so many homeless veterans become. And that's a lot of times what happens with PTSD, is that they just don't care anymore. They don't care, and they don't see themselves in life. And so I can see exactly where he's coming from, and I can see what he was feeling. And I think it was an honest explanation of what happened. And I could see exactly what happened playing out. So I'm there for him, Andrew. I understand. I empathize with you, dude. So hopefully, you've gotten out of rehab and life is better, and you can move on and move forward. As far as DeSantis and his poll tax, is exactly what it is.
Yes.
It's a poll tax, and it's voter suppression. That's really what it is. I mean, Republicans win when voter turnout is low. It's proven. They know it. That's why they do so much voter suppression. That's why y'all president is trying to not fund the post office so that we can't do mail-in voting. That's why they're fighting universal mail-in votes or universal absentee votes, because they know that the more people that vote, the more likely they are to lose. So that's all he's doing. He's trying to fight it and hold back. Because my thing is, I definitely support anybody who pays their due to society. If you say, hey, you did something wrong, I rehabilitated you, and you went to prison for however long, when you get out, when you're released, I feel like you should get your right to vote back, because your voice still counts. You're still a citizen of the United States. You still need services. You still need to be able to elect your the people that are representing you. So I don't understand how you can pull somebody's right to vote away just because they made a mistake or they did something wrong, even if it wasn't a mistake. If you said that their debt to society was 8 years, 10 years, 30 years, and they did it, they've paid their debt to society. They should actually be able to come back in. And that goes back to what Kamala was saying about recidivism and being able to reintegrate back into society and things like that. If you treat them like a pariah, if you treat them like an other when they come back out, they got to go back to the street. They got to go back and do what they did, because they can't get a job. They can't get reintegrated. They can't get back feeling like they're a part of society again. So that's my 2 cents.
Ferg, you mind if I go next, since you do know him personally? And I think I have maybe like one semi-critical thing to say. Okay. And I don't want to even be a coward and say I'm going to play devil's advocate. I think sometimes when people say, I want to play devil's advocate, they're just saying that because they don't want to put it on them. This is my opinion. So I'm not even playing devil's advocate. So just to start off with, first off, I thought the apology statement was good overall, because he said some good things. And a lot of what Razi said, I think can be helpful to others, because I think that is important. You should not try to fight depression on your own. It's important to recognize it and try and get help and be able to admit it. Look, we in 2020, man. It's no longer like, man, you need to man up. Now, later for that, dog, depression is real. People are out here killing themselves over it. So that was great what he said. And I think if he was truly battling alcoholism and everything like that, that in a way it may be good that he did lose this race. Because imagine him in the governor's office and he's hiding it, and then something worse than what happened in Miami occurs. And he could be dealing with not just a scandal, but who knows, maybe some jail time or whatever like that, depending on what he would have done. So it could be a silver lining that he didn't win. And I'm glad that he came out and just addressed the world, because I think I said maybe an episode or two ago, I mean, the way DeSantis is running the state, they need to have a do-over and let Gillum in that thing, man, because they need some leadership. But my only criticism is, and this is why I wanted you to go last, because you may can correct me or clear it up, but the overall story to me doesn't add up. And I feel like I need to put that out there, because not all the listeners know him personally. And they may be thinking the same thing that I'm thinking, that if you look at the totality of his story, it didn't seem to add up. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but from when I last read, there was no wedding down there that he attended. And, usually when you go to a wedding, you go with your spouse or whatever like that. So maybe you can clear that up, but that's the only criticism I put out there. And I hope that it was just the alcoholism and that he's not trying to hide something else. Like, put it all out there, because we are in a forgiving mood to where if you're dealing with something that is difficult for you to deal with, that you can put it out there and you will be forgiven if you're sincere about it. So that's all I got on it, man. Oh, and the DeSantis thing. I'm sorry. The DeSantis thing. I don't need to go too long on that. Razi said it. It's a poll tax, and we know what the Republicans are doing. And what Razi said about the president and the whole post office, that's not a liberal talking point. He literally said that. He literally said, I don't want to give the post office money because I don't want mail-in ballots. Point blank, period. So they are trying to suppress. So every time someone says, voting doesn't matter or it doesn't count, millionaires and billionaires and powerful people are not going to waste their time on something that's meaningless. Okay, they put too much energy, money, and effort into keeping people like you, me, and Razi from voting. So it matters. Get out there and vote. And it's definitely a poll tax on what he's doing.
Well, I agree. So for me, it's like this. What the hell did y'all want that man to do? So take it away from him. Just make it anybody. You were talking about the details don't add up. Sometimes they just don't add up. If you got caught doing something wrong, you're going to say as much or as little as you have to get past that. The real thing is the rationale, the reason behind it. It's, well, was there a wedding? Why was he there with these guys? All this stuff. I'm not saying it's irrelevant, but it's like, who does he owe that responsibility?
He was trying to party.
Yeah, who does he?
Period.
Okay, don't throw in you was there for a wedding. Like, don't add lies to it.
But he didn't add that during the apology anymore. That didn't come up during the apology.
Well, he didn't really address that at all.
That's what I'm saying. Think about it. Hey, why'd you come home at 4:00 in the morning? Razi, car broke down, yada, yada. Like, you gonna say what you need to say? And I don't know if it's right or wrong, whatever the case. I'm like, he said that he got caught because he was backed into a corner. Now, when you're trying to deal with it, you don't come back like, well, you really, I was out there with, that. It's like, hey, I have an issue. Alcoholism and depression. So we talk about this all the time. We talk about the mental health, and then we talk about mental health in the Black community. Then we talk about mental health when it comes to Black men. And the average Black man has a problem admitting his faults. At this time, he probably was one of the top 10, top 20 non-athletic, non-athlete, non-entertainer, known Black men in America.
Yeah. So
my thing is, like, if it's hard for us to admit or deal with, things that happen in our life, he's on camera 24/7 dealing with depression, losing to DeSantis. You just lost an idiot, and you have the president of the United States talking about you. Like, that's a lot of this. It's not like, somebody took your lady. It's like, damn, da-da-da took buff lady. It's like the country saw you lose. The country saw you get robbed. There's half the country talking about you because they buy into the BS that the leader of the free world is spewing about you. That's a lot of freaking pressure. It's a lot of freaking pressure just to be in politics on a local level, And so my thing is, with losing that election, dealing with Trump, dealing with DeSantis, still dealing with all that stuff, throwing it in your face, and you already have a problem with alcoholism. You have a problem with depression. People spiral out of control for a lot less. He might not tell us all the details. And for one, I'm a firm believer, like, why? Because people are going to believe what they believe anyway. Like, we show you pictures of people getting killed by police officers, but you still believe that this man deserved to die. I feel sorry for him because I feel like his political career could have been very bright. He's a brilliant young man, not that much older than us, maybe a year, 2 years tops. It had and hopefully still has a lot of potential. And I hope this doesn't mar him. Even when you were saying maybe it was lucky he didn't get elected, the thing about it is we have so many politicians that get caught up in scandals all the time, and that doesn't faze them. That doesn't mar their political career. You know, we still have the Clarence Thomas and, you know, like we got mayor, like we have crack addicts. We have people who were convicted, accused of molestation, all this stuff. And it's still, you know, they still able to get over it. I don't really, you know, I think it was his speech. Once again, he's brilliant. I think his publicist told him how to say it, what need to be addressed. And he's moving on. And when it comes to DeSantis and that poll tax, it is exactly what you guys said. It's a freaking poll tax. And the biggest thing is if we're telling people to go to jail or go to prison and we're trying to rehabilitate, reform them and get them back into the real world, but we won't let them be part of the real world. You know, you gotta put all your information on your job set. You can't get a good job. You can't vote for any bills that favor you, because that's the biggest thing. It's like, it's not the fact that they can't just vote. It's like you can't vote for anything that helps you get forward. Like there's no candidate that really has to put anything that truly affects felons on their platform. Because why would I address you if you don't benefit me? Mm-hmm. Like it sucks for them. And you've served 8, 10, 15 years. You're moving on with your life or trying to move on with your life. But every segment of the world reminds you that you're not really an American citizen. Like you have half the rights. And so it's stupid. I feel like it's unconstitutional, you know, but at the end of the day, who am I, you know?
So my only pushback to you is the reason why it matters that it doesn't add up is because he does still have a political future, in my opinion. He can come back from this. But if it's more to it than what he revealed and then it comes up later, then it ruins him. Governor Patterson, who was the lieutenant governor to Governor Spitzer, when Spitzer had his scandal and had to resign and he took over, they found out dirt about him. And you know what he did? He admitted to that dirt and owned up to other dirt. Yeah, I snorted cocaine more than once. You know what I'm saying? He came out with it all. Former Mayor Marion Barry, the late Marion Barry. You know, his political career wasn't over after he got caught with a hooker and crack. So he can come back forward. The reason I don't want people to think I'm just recklessly speculating that it doesn't add up. I'm saying that whatever was going on, that was the opportunity to get it all out. If there was something more. Now, if there was nothing more, then I stand corrected and we move on. But if there's something more and it comes out later, then your political career can be over with.
Understood. I can see that. I can see that.
Yep.
You want to go next or you want me to go, Razi?
I'll go. I'll go. Because I switched my question actually because you brought up Cardi. I can't remember who brought up Cardi and Megan, but I saw something on Facebook about it, and they were saying that Megan and Cardi and I guess all these hot girls that are out right now. Who is it? Sweetie Pie or Saweetie? What is her name? Saweetie. She does the tap in song. I actually like that song. You know, tap in. Yeah, I like it. Yeah. So her City Girls, all them. So do they teach our kids to be thoughts? Is the question.
For why you made a face when he was talking about?
They're all the same people to me.
They're all the same person.
All the same people. You know. No,
well, that's how the music. That's how the music industry does, though. When somebody comes out and they're hot, they do the little knockoff versions of that person, right? So when Nicki came out and she was selling sex and she was the new Little Kim, They had to find the next one. So then Cardi came out and they're like, oh, this is good. Cardi brought City Girls in. And so that's when Megan was able to like bump her like shine up a little bit, because now it's catching on. So now truthfully, you probably have more female artists that are dropping bangers than male artists right now. With I can't remember her name. So Weedy, I think is how it's pronounced or whatever. Her, City Girls, Megan, Cardi, Nicki still dropping things. There's a couple other like smaller ones out there doing stuff. I mean, there's a lot of chicks out there that are dropping songs that are blazing on the charts.
So are they teaching kids to be THOTs is your question?
Yes. Because, you know, Hot Girl Summer, all that, everybody's talking about that same thing now.
Go ahead, Ferg. I'll let you go first.
Well, first of all, more power to you ladies. Keep doing what you do, because your duty is not to be a role model. So, you know, I don't think they're great influences by any means, but I'll never knock anybody for their hustle and what they bring to the game and getting theirs. We have athletes, we have entertainers, and you look at rappers for decades have not been great role models. And the same could be said about them teaching dudes how to be thugs or whatever the case may be. What I will say is I think they're part of a culture that has normalized this, I guess in your terms, thought culture. You know, I think it's you mix in the music, you mix in the TV where you have Real Housewives of insert reality show, you know, like to me, that's what the expectation is for a lot of our young women. That is, and part of it is because that's what men are attracted to now. So it's not all on them. It's just like, that's what we expect. Like, why would I want the girl next door when I can have, you know, somebody that with that WAP? Is it WAP or WAP or what is it? WAP. I don't know. Okay. You know, so it's,
I mean, hopefully the girl next door has WAP too. I'm just saying.
Oh, man. What's wrong with a dog?
but that girl next door persona is not what it used to be. You know what I'm saying? That's not who's turning heads in the club. That's not who's, you know, you're pursuing, especially at a young age.
We never did. We married that girl next door, but we always wanted the chick that was a little loose and dressing all scantily and everything at the club. I don't think it's the same way. And you got to think, I kind of always liked the girl next door though. Like if you I kind of always, that's always what I've been attracted to. You know, we go back and look at the shows we were talking about, like the Topangas and all that stuff, and the freaking Ashley from Ashley from Fresh Prince. Like those were the type chicks I was attracted to. I just like the girl next door, and so maybe I'm a little biased, but I think it's a part of the culture. You know, you look at that, the reality TV, the music. You know, how easy it is for girls to get attention with Instagram and all that stuff. That is what they have a lot feel they need to do or have to do to get the attention. And it's not even the young people anymore. It's, you know, it's still the older generation. So I don't think they're the problem, you know, because it's not their job to set the great example. But I think they're just part of this great concoction that's just kind of, I don't know. I'm nervous because I have a 5-year-old daughter and I try to make sure she doesn't listen to any of that music or anything like that. Or I try to keep her away from those things and try to instill more positive views of what a woman should be or my opinion of what a strong woman looks like, you know, because I can't say what a woman should be. Even though I think we all kind of have our biases of what we like. Yeah, are they attractive and stuff like that? Yeah, like you were saying. But at the end of the day, that's not who we're trying to marry. So I'm sorry, ladies. Come at me Monday. I'm pretty sure I'll get told off or whatever the case may be.
You sound exhausted, like you know it's coming.
It's coming. Well, the good thing is, like, I'm not going to disappoint anybody because I'm definitely not anybody's favorite anyway. So.
Yeah, that's still Razi. They may not be teaching, but they're definitely helping spread the word. I've always been on the stance that rap comes a step after. Like, nobody has ever rapped about something that has never happened. So like when gangster rap came along, they rapped about what they saw. Ferg mentioned Instagram and all the social media and how easy it is to put yourself out there and get all these likes. You know, the music is reflecting that type of stuff to how, you know, you find a man and go get you a bag and, you know, get the Christian Louboutins and whatever else. So, like I said, they may not be teaching it. A lot of the youth may already know about it, but they're helping spread the word and they're making it more popular than ever. But, you know,
I love that take, bro. Because just like when gangster rap really first came out, they're just saying we're talking about what we're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't popular, it wouldn't be selling.
Right. And just to sound like an old man, this is where parenting come in. I think both of you guys kind of alluded to it. It's not their job to be responsible and raise your kids, because technically their music is supposed to be for a mature audience. Now, we know that isn't the case. You know, a lot of us knew about 2 Live Crew when we were 10 or whatever. So it's not always for mature audiences, but it's supposed to be. And, you know, it really comes down to parenting, because music is not gonna make you be something you're not. But if you're in the wrong or right environment, however you want to view it, with the right amount of influence, it can encourage you to be the things that they're talking about. So it's just a whole lot of different things, man. I don't want to put it all on rap, but I can't let it be completely blameless, because it definitely helps spread the word. It helps popularize it, and it makes it the it thing to do. And people pick up on it and they mimic that behavior.
I'm going to probably say something. Yeah, you know, I like to put my foot in my mouth. But my question is, what's the issue with what they're selling? The what we're calling a thought, but they're technically just talking about being about their business, not taking anything off a guy, liking sex. You know, they're not saying I'm sleeping around with every guy out there. Well, they're saying I'm laying it down when it happens.
Well, that's okay for an 18, 19, 21-year-old. But if you're raising a 12-year-old, that ain't what you want her doing. And that goes the same for if you.
But that goes to the parenting conversation, right? Yeah. Like I do think that we as parents have to put it in context. We can't put that responsibility on entertainers, like Ferg said, to give the context of what they're doing. Now, if they, you know, and you hear it, Megan and Cardi are 2 of the best at giving the context when they have interviews and stuff like that, and they talk about what they mean by getting a bag. Cardi in the song talks about, I am married. I'm talking about doing this with my husband. Beyonce has a song where she's talking about, driver, put up the partition because it's about to go down back here. Like, but she's talking about with her husband. So, like, given the context of it is, I think, what needs to happen. And I think we talked about that in a previous episode. I think that they do have that responsibility to give the context outside of the song, but it's hard to try to give a whole story arc inside of the song, right? You got 8 bars and a hook. So
Hot Girl Summer was talking about, what's the context of that?
She's like, I'm going out and I'm getting mine this summer. I'm having fun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not tied down to any dude. And I don't think that's a problem. I'm not slut shaming any girl out there that wants to go, because like y'all said, we've been saying it's cool for guys to do it for the longest. I'm cool if you 19, 20, 23 years old and you in college and you want to have 3-4 dudes over the course of a summer, man, not my problem. Because my thing is, when we were in college, there was no second thought about it. I mean, we all knew the girls that we might have been smashing, and we knew that she was smashing another dude or maybe even 2 other dudes. Like, it happens. Don't tell me you ain't never smashed a freak.
They all love me too.
Come on, Ferg.
They all love
Don't
me,
even
bro.
lie.
She was their only one.
You just smashed the freak.
I was their only.
So don't even
She was
try.
the only
I was the only one. No, I get what you're
So-
saying. I think it's just sometimes, just like with the problem with gangster rap, like some people don't understand the context and they're going out trying to relive this for the wrong reasons. They're trying to be that chick that only is interested in people for their money and all this stuff. I can't remember the lyrics. Basically, like I'm not cooking, I'm not cleaning, but like basically, like I'm not good at any of that shit, but I'm catch me in the bed. Like, nigga, that's all I bring to the table. And I don't want...
No, she said, I still got this ring.
Like,
that's what she said.
like,
She's like, I don't cook, I don't clean, but I still got a ring.
Like, I don't want women or, I don't want a lot of young girls thinking that's my fear, is for them to think this is all they bring to the table, because a lot of times they don't have somebody who can break it down and get the context, or they have a lot of good examples of what's going on. Like, even with, gangster rap and people selling.
What about that girl? What about that girl that's just not good at cooking? She's not interested in it. She just doesn't cook. What about her and making her feel better about herself, that you can still find a husband? Maybe you found a Ferg that likes to cook, so you don't have to be able to cook.
That's that gender role thing. Like, you don't have to know how to cook.
I'm not saying you have to know how to cook. What I'm saying is, when it's telling you that nothing else matters as long... Did it say, hey, bring a great conversation? Be anything else? Like, I don't do anything, but I can still get a ring. Like, my thing is, I want people to understand there's more to life than certain things. Just like when a lot of people were trying to emulate gangster rappers, like they wanted to go out and do things because that's what they saw on TV. And it's like, it became an issue when all these kids from the suburbs were trying to emulate this stuff. Like, they out here doing this because they got to put food on the table. Like, that's my biggest fear, is just and maybe I'm old, is the morals or the values start shifting to things that can eventually be cause problems down the line in the community. Like, if there's, I don't know, like I'm
just saying, we're sounding a whole lot like those folks who were in Congress talking against gangster rap. No, like that's exactly what they were saying, but we turned out okay.
Did we? Because you got to look.
It wasn't the music. It wasn't the music that affected us one way or the other.
But the thing about it, it's like that spawned it was snowballing. Like, if that would have stopped right then and there, will we be having this conversation today? Like it would turn out okay, but it's just, for one, women, keep sing your song, doing whatever you want to do. There's somebody who has a 5-year-old daughter. I want to make sure that she understands that there's more to her than just what she brings to the table.
Yeah, and there are other influences for that. There are other women that she can look to for that. But there's a lane for Cardi B and Megan.
And I've said that.
Yeah.
I said that. Yeah, and the thing about it is, like, but are they looking
and
to...
even in their other songs? I mean, that's the thing, is they have other songs that talk about that other stuff.
Are they...
Like, we get siloed into the songs that are real popular because that's just what
I'm sorry, I don't listen
everybody's
to Cardi
listening to right now. That's what's popular. Right. But I mean, they have other songs that talk about that, though.
I'll take your word for that.
I mean, I don't know either. I'm assuming, on the whole album that, they got something. They got to have some positive ones in there somewhere.
So Cardi B got a Brenda Got a Baby song. So that's what you're telling me. No, like, I'm saying, like, hey, do what you do. I just want to make sure that there's enough other things to look at. Mm-hmm. We were talking about gangster rap, but we can listen to the radio, but when we turned on the TV, outside of the videos, there wasn't a lot of stuff portraying that image for us. We can listen to gangster rap on the way to the house, and then we can walk in the house and Saved by the Bell's on. Like, we didn't have I don't feel like we had the same amount of, like, constant influence of certain images. If you take it away from music, I didn't see that influence all the time. It's Instagram, Facebook, you got, Real Housewives of this, you got reality shows. And so it's like, it could be overload. I think that's what it is. To me, it's could be overload, where you're saying Well, if I turn on the TV, I can get that same image. If I turn on the radio, I can get that same image. When I get on the internet, I can get that same image. So hopefully people are looking at other stuff that gives them a different side of the world. But
and to make sure we're not piling on, like you mentioned Saved by the Bell, what Megan Thee Stallion and a lot of other rappers, they're pretty much saying the same message that Saved by the Bells and a lot of other sitcoms are saying. Like Saved by the Bell, Kelly Kapowski was known for what? Her beauty. Zach Morris was the good-looking guy. Slater was the good-looking guy.
Yeah, they talked about getting the girls all the time. They use their
looks. That's pretty much what they're saying. Use your looks. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Zach Morris was trash.
Hillary Banks. You know what I'm saying? Use your looks to get what you want. So yes, it's a much more explicit way of saying it, but they're not saying anything different than what Marilyn Monroe represented, and all the sex symbols of the past have pretty much said that beauty matters, and there's a lane for that beauty matters, and you can get pretty much what you want if you're attractive enough. And our athletes pretty much prove that point all the time with who they marry for the most part.
Okay. Yep. All right. So I'm pretty sure. Have you guys heard about the shooting of the 5-year-old boy Canon Hinnant? Is that how you pronounce his name?
So yes and no. I haven't read the story fully, but based on the comments, I got the gist of it.
So basically, a 5-year-old young boy was executed in front of his family by a 25-year-old black male, and the guy has been caught. He has been. They've already given him put the charges on him. I think a 1st-degree murder, and trial should be soon. Like it all happened,
and I don't think he got a bail.
Oh yeah, without bail.
I think he's being held without bail.
Held without bail. And so I bring that up because I've seen people talk about this, and they're like, "Where is the outrage?"
Yeah. Where
is the outrage? Why aren't we marching? Why isn't there press coverage? And well, it was like, I'm not trying to make it a race issue, but if it doesn't fit the political agenda, then people don't want to talk about it. What are your thoughts on when people make these type comments or try to compare them to a lot of the things that are going on today?
So the post I've seen on it, they absolutely were trying to make it a racial thing. Like they were literally comparing it to the murder of George Floyd and calling him a lifetime felon and all that kind of stuff. But where's the outrage for this young man? So let me just state the obvious. First off, it is a terrible thing that happened. It's very sad. I'm glad they caught the guy, and I'm glad he's being charged as he should. And I hope he's, sentenced to whatever the full extent of the law is in that jurisdiction. But I'm so tired of saying this. Our outrage is over the fact that George Zimmerman is allowed to sign bags of Skittles for money. Our outrage is that Tamir Rice's killer is free. Our outrage is Michael Moore from Mobile, Alabama. The list goes on and on. They served no time. A lot of times they didn't even get charged. That is where the outrage comes from. The outrage isn't necessarily needed because justice so far is being served. And that is what Black people are protesting and are so fiercely angry about, is that far too many times, because a lot of times they love to try to bring up, before this case, they love to try to bring up Black on Black crime. You guys don't say anything when there's Black on Black crime. Well, when there's Black on Black crime, they make sure they go and arrest Pookie. They kick down Jamal's door and arrest him, and he gets sentenced. He's locked up. You know what I'm saying? So our outrage is over the lack of punishment for the perpetrator of the crime. This guy that killed the little boy, he's going to be found guilty. And to me, the biggest surprise in this story is that they actually arrested him alive. Because if you had told me that a Black man What was he, 5 years old?
5-year-old boy.
Killed a 5-year-old boy in front of his family, and he's still alive? Bro, I'm not even joking. This ain't no joke. I'm surprised as that he's alive. So, and I'm not going to even say there's no outrage needed. I'm just telling people that's why there isn't that much outrage. Anybody who wants to be outraged by it, be outraged. I mean, it was a terrible, senseless crime, but justice is being served. And that's why you see so much outrage on our side when it happens to us, because a lot of times justice is not served.
I don't want to make light of the situation, but one of my favorite movies, Paid in Full.
Hey, niggas get shot every day, B. You be aight, nigga.
He ain't gonna be the favorite no more.
But
that's my favorite scene, by the way.
It's serious because I mean it's funny because we know that joke, like we get that reference, but outside of the joke part of it, it really is. People die every day. People murder every day. And like you said, Byron, the outrage for us is that the killers aren't charged. That's the outrage. That's what we're protesting. There's nothing to protest in this. Somebody was murdered. The perpetrator was caught and charged and being held without bond. What would we protest? Like there's nothing there. We could be outraged. We could be like, oh my God, this shouldn't happen. We're saddened. I'm definitely saddened by it. But if I look for every murder in the United States, then that depression we just talked about would be way too much to bear. You can't. I don't know these people. I don't know that 5-year-old. So I can be sad and I can empathize, but I'm going to keep going about my day. And so, because I can't get wrapped up into that. And the only reason why it's an issue right now is because 84% of whites kill whites. All right. All murder, white on white crime. 89%, 87%, somewhere in there is black on black crime. The only problem is that it's that other 16%. That's a black person that killed a white person. That's the issue. And so miss me again with the whole, where's the outrage? Because the thing about it is you're trying to make it a race. You're using race to make it an issue. Because if it had been a white guy that killed that 5-year-old, you wouldn't be saying, why aren't you guys protesting? Why aren't you doing this? You wouldn't say anything about it. So the problem is you're trying to politicize that little boy's death. And so that makes me mad when you try to bring that up, because we don't try to politicize any of these deaths. What we're trying to do is actually prevent them. We don't even protest every time a black person is murdered, even by police. If we look at it, I mean, Byron, you've said it a couple times. You're like, I'm going to reserve my outrage on this one, because, I mean, if it makes sense, we're not going to protest by it, because it's like, okay, look, you were fighting a police officer, you ran, you shot at him a couple times, they shot you. I don't know what to tell you, bruh. You shouldn't have done that. Like, we're not going to protest because of that. Like, what we're trying to get the criminal justice system to understand, what we're trying to get police to understand is don't shoot first. Like, step back. Don't kill us for, just talking. Even if we want to fight, I'm sorry. Like, y'all arrest white guys all the time after tussling with them and fighting with them. Why is it that as soon as you fight one of a black person, automatically, I had to shoot that person? That's the issue. That's what we're protesting about.
Man, I wish I still had that video of this white kid. I think it was in Seattle. He was high on mushrooms. He walked in a police station and wrestled with 3 officers trying to take one of their guns. And all they did was tussle with him until they got him down and handcuffed him. Okay. They do it all the time for white suspects. Okay. He went in a police station, man. He was asking for it and still didn't get killed.
Yeah. And then you have a situation like Philando Castile where he's complying in the car, tell you he has a gun, hands around up where you can see him, and you still shoot him and not get charged. Like, how? That's the outrage. It's not because of just a random murder.
Oh, we about to get angry, Ferg?
Nah, you guys wrapped it up really, really well. My question is, what do they want us to protest? What would you? What's going to be on that sign?
I can't breathe. They don't want us to protest. They don't.
I mean, but what's on the T-shirt? What's on the sign? What
all lives matter?
They just want to take away from Black Lives Matter. They want to take away from the argument that we are just killed at a higher rate when we're unarmed and when justice is not served. They just want to take away from that argument. They don't care about this 5-year-old, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. And let me start by saying it is sad to see and hear what happened to this family. You know, I get it. I have a 5-year-old daughter. I have a son. You know, I just can imagine somebody that I from what I read, they knew the guy, they had dinner. Like it just kind of happened. It's horrible. I get it. And there's no excuse. I hope he gets prosecuted to the full extent of the law. No questions asked. Whatever they give him, he deserves it 100%. No questions asked. And that's my thing. We don't dispute that when bad shit happens to bad people, that they should get, you know, like you said, black on black crime. Well, because they're criminals. It's crime. Like they are criminals. Like, well, what about black on black? Well, criminals are going to be criminals. They're going to do criminal shit. This dude is criminal. He killed somebody. He's going to go to jail for the rest of his life. Bare minimum. I don't know what else they want. Like what sign, what are we picketing? What police station are we going to? Tell me where you want us to meet and what you want us to say. Because I don't get it. Like you said.
Yeah, that's my thing is, why don't you start a protest and ask us to join your protest?
Their protest.
Instead of saying, where's the protest about this? Won't you start the protest and then see if we attach ourselves to it, because we identify with the protest.
Their protest
if there's something wrong,
their protest is going to be, where's the protest? Like that's what it comes down to. Is like they're mad because we're not mad enough. If and you said it, like if this wasn't a black man that shot this kid, this wouldn't have any national news. Kids get killed every day. Somebody gets shot every day. That's why we have all these crazy, we have these gun laws that people are trying to, because it's running rampant. Mm-hmm. But every time somebody gets shot and we protest, we'll never get anything done. But if this would have been a white kid that got shot by a white guy and he didn't get prosecuted or something like that, I get it. But I don't know, man. I just want to figure out what.
And if that had happened, I would have joined that protest. I would have been sharing it. Like, why isn't this guy charged or whatever, black or white? If that 5-year-old kid had been shot and then they didn't charge the person, white or black, I would have been sharing that same post. Like, yo, we need whatever the kid's name is. I can't even remember the kid's name. We need justice for him. Yeah, I would join that protest if that's what happened. The problem is there's nothing, like you said, there's nothing to protest. The system worked as it should.
Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day,
let's go protest gun laws. Let's go protest the gun that shot the kid. I bet they won't do that.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But what you haven't seen is they didn't slander the kid's name. They didn't slander the family. They're not saying maybe they got mixed up with some drug stuff. Because we don't know all the details. There's no excuse, but it could have been a drug deal gone wrong. We don't know anything that's going on, but there's no
That kid could have been Chucky.
There's no Lord. There's no speculation on on any negative thing on the victim's side. There's nobody defending. This is the biggest difference. Nobody defending the shooter and nobody trying to blame the victim. Those are major differences. We're not defending the shooter. I can see like, well, you know what? He came from a bad neighborhood and he was going through some things. So he shot a 5-year-old kid and that's what happened. And black people are up in arms raising money for him. He's not going to get a GoFundMe. None of that's gonna happen.
I'm gonna start a fund that would be like he feared for his life. The kid was coming at him with a knife.
Bruh, stop.
Well,
I can't. Stop. Nope. All right, bro. Let's wrap it up. We're not gonna make light of the kid's death. It just irritates me the fact that people try to change the narrative and the fact that they're even trying to change the narrative. Like, this doesn't make sense.
No, and seriously, I'm not trying to make a light of the situation. What I'm trying to do is turn it around and sound like them.
Yeah, because that's exactly what they say.
That's what it's about. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say. It's definitely not making light of it. It's think about that's the stuff. Like when you're saying we're not defending the shooter, we're not defending the and we're not making the victim look bad. Just turn it around and see what we go through.
Here's an olive branch. You guys start a petition and a protest to lock up Tamir Rice's killer, because I believe he was, 11 or 12? And we will start one to join in outrage, because there's really nothing else to do, because the killer in this case has been arrested and has been charged. But you guys start a petition to arrest Tamir Rice's killer, and we'll join you in whatever outrage you want us to partake in. There's your olive branch.
Yeah. And lock up Breonna Taylor's killers. Moving on.
Amen.
Fellas, let's go ahead and close it out, man. I don't think that question lasted too long. So
that's probably a good thing, because I got a few things. One, I want to just troll my book club compadre, Chaz Crawford. I just want to, he'll know, because this is an inside joke. Killmonger was right. So that gets him going. That angers him. So that's our inside joke. But on a different note, man, we hit 10,000 listens last week, and we posted about it. We're very proud of it. Man, we can't thank you enough. I said this before. Everybody has a podcast these days. And the fact that you guys have chosen us to listen to, tune in, and hear our opinions, that means a lot. It means a great deal. We take this very seriously. So just want to thank you guys for that. And speaking of podcasts, I want to give a shout out to the upcoming podcast of Beautiful Paradox. 3 young ladies, Angelita Cosby, Maya Becton, and Jennifer Landrum. I hope I didn't mispronounce any of your names, but we're looking forward to hearing what you all have to say. 3 ladies, you actually, the listeners, if you've been rocking with us from day one, you probably heard Angelita ask a question on an earlier episode. But we're looking forward to it, ladies. So we wish you great luck. And we can't wait till you lunch. I believe they lunch September 13th. So be looking out for that. Beautiful Paradox. And finally, Razi mentioned how when he's talking about that case that Ferg brought up, that they won't go out and protest gun laws. Shameless plug. I wrote an article on that about a year ago. FakeNewsSyndicate.com. The article is called Our Most Cherished Treasure. I'm drunk. Our most cherished treasure. And
I'm keeping all that in there.
Asshole. But it's talking about that. It's actually talking about that. And that, you look at what happened in Sandy Hook. You would think Sandy Hook would have been enough to generate outrage to challenge gun laws. Nope. Because this country loves guns more than almost anything else on earth, including kids. Okay, because kids got white kids. Like, that was the one time I thought gun laws was going to get changed. I was like, oh man, they kill white kids. It's on. Nope. So check that out, FakeNewsSyndicate.com. Like I said, shameless plug, check that out. And thank you guys again for the feedback on my latest article, Get Back in the Closet. So that's all I got. Sorry about the mispronunciation, but this moonshine kicking in.
So I'm just going to talk about something that happened just today. I don't know if y'all saw Stone Mountain, what was going on there. A bunch of, Stone Mountain is really like a hotbed for racists and the KKK and that type of thing. And so they had a rally. And so they came out, they were armed and everything else. And Antifa showed up armed too. And they just had a big standoff. And I'm not a big Antifa fan. I just throw it out there, but I don't know when becoming anti-fascist became a bad thing. I mean, we fought 2 wars over anti-fascism, but that aside, they showed up and they were armed too, and it went on. So nobody shot, but they were like hitting each other with stuff. It was crazy. Like fights broke out all over the place. So what I will say though is challenge these white supremacists when they show up with these guns and things like that. We need to be there too with our gun owners. Like, you're not going to intimidate us. So when we talk about protecting our black women and our black people, we need to be able to say, we're going to show up too. Like, don't think you're going to have this open carry thing and walk around with all these guns and feel like, you know, it's the 60s where y'all could walk around with guns, but we couldn't. And so I just want to shout out to those folks that showed up, the ones that actually showed restraint and didn't get into fights, but they showed up to show that we're not scared anymore.
Man, there's a brother by the name of Nicky Daniels Jr. of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He does exactly what you just proposed. He shows up with that heat. So I just want to give him a shout out.
Well, I'm going to keep it light. Thank you to all the listeners. We made officially 1 year. So we're out of our rookie season. Hope we keep improving and getting better. Hopefully we stay signed. And we really appreciate the listeners and the people who have reached out to us to give us feedback, to our other podcast family, you know, the Bruh's Bookshelf.
Femme Noir Files.
Yeah, I've had a couple of drinks myself. But looking to see you guys make that year mark and stuff like that, because I think all these podcasts started right before or right after. So we're all kind of coming around that year mark. But keep listening to them and keep supporting them as well. I know how I felt when we hit the 10,000 mark and how I feel when I see our numbers and people share our posts. Go ahead and do the same for them. Go check out some other podcasts. And if there's any podcasts that you recommend, please share it with us so we can get onto it. And if there's anything we can do to get better, let us know. Once again, this is Three Brothers No Sense. Anybody want to try it?
Razi shaking his head. No, but shout out to Truth Be Told Sports as well. That's a podcast you need to rock with too.
My bad, Hulu.
Yes.
And their podcast and their page just keeps me rolling. So
yeah, they got some merch coming too, folks. So check that out.
So, all right, well, Three Brothers No Sense, year 2. Listen, like, share, subscribe, comment, and most importantly, listen again. See you guys next week.